What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am. If you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. Oompa Loompas will come out of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and kidnap your youngest sibling. Yeah, ooh, you don't want that, man. Once the Oompa Loompas take your kid, they turn him into chocolate and then devour him at a ceremony called Puha. I've seen it firsthand. It's really scary. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, and as you guys can tell, today we're going to be talking about me babysitting Satan, and no, I did not actually babysit Satan. That is a little bit of an exaggeration, but I did babysit a child that might have been possessed by the devil instead. I've been saving this story for a rainy day, okay? I had another story for today's video, and then Karen and Susan just decided to wombo combo me and get it demonetized, so I'm waiting for it to get remonetized, so I figured I would tell you guys about the satanic kid that I babysat, because trust me, it is a doozy, and I feel like you guys will enjoy it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So in my neighborhood when I was growing up, there was a lot of families. You know, a bunch of people had kids for some reason, and a lot of these kids needed people to watch them when their parents were out. It's a pretty common thing in America called babysitting. It's probably pretty common around the world, but you know, I feel like saying it edgily, and it only happens in America. So whatever, me being a little bit older than most of the kids in the neighborhood, I got a ton of offers to babysit kids. And I didn't really like babysitting, but there was one family that my mom and dad were pretty good friends with, and they were like, hey, can you come babysit? And I was like, yeah, sure. And at this point, I think I was 14 or 15, so I didn't really know the kids very well. Like, even when my parents would hang out with their parents, I wasn't exactly like, hey, yo, bro, let me hang out with your 5-year-old son. We get along fantastically. So I didn't really know the kids too well, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll babysit. They agreed to pay me, and I was like, yeah, you guys can go out with my parents. I'll hang out with the kids. No big deal. And for the most part, I get along pretty well with young kids. I know how to like make them have a good time. All you really have to do is make kids laugh and you're golden. So I figured babysitting would be pretty easily. And whenever I would babysit my cousins or anything, it wasn't too difficult, all right? Like, I was never out here, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, I was pretty solid at babysitting, so I thought I would have everything under control. So I go over to their house the first time I ever babysat these kids, and when I'm there, when the parents are there right before they left and I was still there, every kid is an angel, okay? Like, all these kids are super well behaved, and I'm like, wow, this is gonna be the easiest babysitting job I've ever had. These kids are well behaved, they clean up after themselves, they're not misbehaving, they're not destroying anything, and it was like incredible. It was so impressive how well behaved the kids were before their parents left that I was like, dude, I could babysit for you guys every week, because basically I'm gonna get to sit here and text people while your kids are just doing their thing and I'm gonna get paid for it. That's a 10 out of 10. Anytime you need me, just let me know. But as soon as their parents left, I swear, these kids flicked a light switch and instantly became actual demons, okay? I don't know if they were just holding it inside, if they've been possessed from the demon since birth and like their parents just quench it down, but as soon as the door closed and the parents left, they all just started being the worst behaved kids of all time. Like, as soon as the door closed, I turn around and the oldest daughter picks up a grape juice box, stabs the side of it with a straw, and just starts spraying it around the kitchen. Like, I don't know why, just apparently was like, you know what this counter needs? More grape juice, bleh, and it's all over the place. And then the youngest kid just started screaming and hitting her brother, and like, for the most part, okay, it was absurd, but I get the girls calm down, right? I'm like, hey, you know, you can't do that, and they're like, oh, okay. And after I kind of yelled at them a little bit, they were like, oh, okay, we'll behave. But the son, I'm actually convinced might have been possessed, all right? Like, I don't really believe in possession, but if anything is proof that people can be possessed, it was their son. I have never met a worse behaved kid in my entire life. Like, he made spraying grape juice around the kitchen like a fountain look like child's play, all right? Like, almost as easy as cheesecake in comparison to what this kid ended up doing. So I get the girls calm down, and the son wasn't doing anything, and I'm like, oh, at least he's still behaving. And then, you know, they're like, okay, we're gonna go upstairs and play. And I was like, all right, bet. I'm gonna sit on the couch and text people, like, if you need anything, just let me know. And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem, we got you. So they all go upstairs, and I'm like, wow, you know, after a little bit of misbehavior, I laid down the law, and now they're gonna be no issue. And then like 30 seconds later, I hear screaming coming from upstairs, right? Like, actual screaming. So I'm like, okay, this is obviously not very normal. I need to go investigate as the babysitter. So I turn the corner, and they're all in the oldest girl's room, and her brother is standing there on the bed with 3 Barbies in his hand. Like, he had 2 in one hand and 1 in the other, and is putting their head in the ceiling fan and just letting the ceiling fan like boom, 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 all the Barbies heads. And the girls are obviously like, my Barbies, my Barbies. And I'm not even kidding. As I'm watching this go down and I'm walking towards it to try to be like, hey man, you can't torture Barbies with a ceiling fan, one of the heads of the Barbies gets smacked off by the fan and goes flying, and it hits the youngest daughter in the face, and she is just sobbing. She's like, he broke my Barbie. And the kid is laughing. Like, he is cackling hilariously at his youngest sister in tears, just crying, like, he broke my Barbie. So I picked the Barbie head up, and like, you can snap Barbie's heads back on, they're pretty easy. So I fix it, and she's like, thank you. And I was like, dog, you shouldn't break your sister Barbies, like, that's really not cool. And he's like, I don't know, it was kind of funny. And I was like, oh, okay, so you're one of these kids. And like, I get trolling, all right, but the second somebody breaks down crying and is having an emotional breakdown, you kind of got to chill out a little bit, kid. Like, so I'm trying to politely explain that when you make someone cry, you've gone too far. You gotta pull it back a little bit. And he's like, honestly, it's kind of funny when people cry because of stuff that I've done. And I'm like, oh, you're a psychopath. Yeah, you're actually a psychopath. And you know, you think that would be it. That would be the only thing he does that night. But later that night, I'm kind of like just sitting on the couch, and I had already fed them dinner, and like the parents told me not to let him eat any snacks. So obviously, I'm just chilling on the couch, doing my best to keep things under control, like make sure nothing gets lit on fire or anything. Typical babysitter duties. But I hear a microwave door open, like the little it makes when it unhinges, and I turn around and the kid's looking there, like the little boy is sitting there with a devilish grin, and I'm like, okay, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just hungry. And I'm like, all right, well, what do you want to make? And he's like, and he kind of like locks up in his weird, like he has this weird, he's trying to avoid talking to me. So I walk in there, and he doesn't have food in his hands, but he has like something behind his back, and I'm like, okay, what's in your hands? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, dude, what's in your hands? Like, you don't have food in your hand. If you had food you wanted to microwave, then like, I would know. And he pulls out his sister's hamster, bro. Man was really about to microwave a hamster, go Full Metal Jacket on this hamster. And I'm like, dude, were you gonna microwave the hamster? And he's like, well, I saw it on a TV show and I just thought it would be funny. And I'm like, dog, this kid is actually a psychopath. Like, listen, I know that term gets thrown around a lot on the internet, and people are like, oh, psychopaths. And then like, but as far as microwaving a hamster goes, that's pretty far up there on the psychopath scale, right? So that's all that happens that night. And the parents paid me really well, so they asked me to come over next weekend. And like, even though it was weird and the kid was crazy, I was like, you know what? They're paying me really well. I can use this money to go do cool stuff. YOLO, full send. I'll go back over there one more time. I'll babysit the kids one more time, and then after that, that's it. I'm done after this. So I come over again, and before the parents leave, these kids literally had masks on. Like, they were not being themselves. They were so well behaved again before their parents leave. But I've seen the charade once. Like, you might fool me once by pretending to be angels when your parents are here, but I've seen what you're like as soon as they leave. So of course, they leave. They all freak out. They do their crazy thing. But I was like, oh well, been here, done that. So that doesn't faze me too much. But this time when they go upstairs to play, I hear screaming again, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is he really decapitating Barbies again? Like, realistically, do you really have to do this again? And I walk up, and this time, he is just straight up like wailing on his sister. Like, I don't know what she said to him, bro, but he unlocked Tekken 9 Extra Combat Mode. He used an ultimate in Super Smash Bros, bro. He was going to town. So I pull him off, and I'm like, bro, what is your deal? He's like, she looked at me funny, and I'm like, dog, you have issues. You try to microwave a hamster, you decapitated Barbies, and then like your sister looks at you funny, and your response is, yeah, just better fighter, you know, like, hey, your eyeballs were in a weird position in my general direction. I didn't like that. I had to fight you. We're sending it. We have to fight. So I break up the fight, and I'm like, all right, well, you have to come downstairs and play downstairs, because you can't be left alone, dog. Like, every time you're left alone, you go crazy. And he's like, all right, fine, no big deal. So we're downstairs, and he's just kind of talking to me, and he's like, you know, I don't feel bad for people. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, like when people get hurt or bad things happen, like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't make me feel bad. And I'm like, oh, that's perfectly normal. Like, unprompted. This kid was just talking to himself. I wasn't asking him questions. I was just letting him ramble. And that's what comes out of his mouth. And he's like, yeah, my mom says it's weird, but she doesn't want to go to a therapist because she thinks people will judge her. And I'm like, haha, yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's weird. Like, I'm figuring all this out, and I'm realizing slowly I can't babysit here anymore, because one night I'm just going to go missing, and everyone's going to be like, where was the last place he was seen? And I'm going to be under this kid's bed, like in 8 different pieces, okay? So he's kind of telling me he's a little bit of a crazy person, and his mom doesn't want to get him any help. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. And, you know, I kept my distance. I kept an eye on him. I wouldn't turn my back to him. Like, I was kind of scared. So his parents come home, and they're like, oh, can you babysit again? And I was like, no, you know, something's come up. I'm not gonna have a lot of free time anymore. I wish I could. Your kids are so well behaved, but you know, I just can't. They were like, oh, we totally understand. And I know what you guys are thinking. Why didn't you tell the mom that he's crazy? And I was like, because apparently she knew. She knew that he was crazy and didn't want to put him in therapy. And I'm not gonna be like, yeah, your child's a psychopath, because that's just not a good look. And they were friends with my parents. And you know, that was a little bit ago. So recent update on this kid. The kid actually ended up getting expelled from school for some pretty messed up stuff. And now the mom is forced to get him therapy and is more embarrassed about the fact that he got expelled than she ever would have been if she would have just nipped it in the bud when he was younger. But yeah, I actually babysitted a psychopath, and it was really, really terrifying. 0 out of 10 experience, would not recommend. On that note, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button or Cyrus will appear in your nightmares tonight. Yeah, he's pretty terrifying. Really, though, subscribe if you're new. Turn on notifications. Today's notification shout-out goes to the one, the only, the indestructible. Hold on, I'm pulling up my Instagram DMs because I don't have this ready for any time. I don't know how to pronounce anyone's names. Holy cow, you guys spell things weird. We're going to go with Finn Phillip. Big shout out to you for having notifications on, bro. I really appreciate it. If you want a notification shout out, all you got to do is turn on notifications and send me a screenshot of it on Instagram at Scrubby. I'm going to be doing something cool with the notification gang soon, so big shout out to you guys. And yeah, don't get anyone pregnant, and if you do, make sure they're hot and don't have a psychopath child. Like, that's really what's important. And I'll talk to you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace. Oh, also, subscribe to Cyrus, because I love him. I really do. He's really cute.